All right, let's talk about the Houston Texans here for a little bit. Look, we know this team with D'Amico Ryans, with CJ Stroud, a lot of young playmakers. They added some veterans, of course, over the offseason as well. They were the talk of the National Football League in 2023 and looked like a top flight contender heading into 2024. But the reality is, like every team, Houston is going to have to rely on a couple key rookies stepping up in key areas as role players to kind of supplement the stars on this roster. And it looks like one in particular is off to an impressive start. Looks like he's impressing all the right people. Let's get into the article, then we'll talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of A to Z Sports. The Houston Texans, in a strategic move, re-signed tight end Dalton Schultz this offseason. However, they also recognized the need to bolster the roster through the 2024 NFL Draft. This led them to select Cade Stover, a former teammate of CJ Stroud at Ohio State, in the fourth round with the 23rd pick. Stover's selection was a testament to the Texans' meticulous draft process, and their glowing remarks about him add to their belief that they found a hidden gem. This is the important part here. This is probably one of our favorite football players in the entire draft, regardless of position, because of his mentality, because of his mindset. Texans general manager Nick Caserio said after the draft, the Texans' decision to draft Cade Stover was driven by their need for versatile players, not just those who can block, but also those who can be utilized as offensive weapons. And now there are reports in OTAs that Cade Stover is showing off his physical presence, his competitiveness, his nastiness. His energy has been infectious in OTAs. He's been making plays, impressing his former quarterback, now concurrent quarterback, of course, CJ Stroud, and the entire Texans coaching staff. So it looks like Casario's bet on Stover is paying off based on what we're seeing so far. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Texans fans in the comment section below, we're going to talk about Cade Stover a little bit, but outside of Stover, what other Texans rookie are you most excited about? There's a lot of great options, but we're going to make you pick one. Give us what non-Stover Texans rookie you're really pumped to see and put them in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this latest report involving Houston Texans and the impact Cade Stover can have on this football team.
Yeah, Nick, I think Stover is a very interesting case study of a guy who came in, and we always see this. People start on one side of the ball, they gather, they spend so much time, whether it's coming up through Pee Wee, whether it's coming up through AAU, high school, then even in college, a defensive mindset, but then flip to the other side of the field. These guys always feel like they're just a little bit tougher. They've got that grit to them. And I think Stover is a guy just like that. Starting out, he even came to Ohio State and played snaps at linebacker at that defensive end position. Stover is a tough SOB. He comes out there and he plays with the grit and determination of a linebacker at tight end. I don't think he shies away from contact. I think he really is able to lean into that kind of stuff, and that's why he makes these contested catches. He's not afraid to go up there for the ball. So I think this guy, he is a great offensive weapon. But it's like Nick Caserio said, his mindset is really sets him apart from some of these other tight ends. We see tight ends nowadays, and I think they're fantastic players. We see the Brock Bowers of the world. We see the Kyle Pitts of the world. We see this new breed of almost gadgety, like slot receiver, hybrid tight end. That's not Cade Stover. He's capable of making big time offensive plays, but this guy is not a glass cannon. He can get down there and really get in the trenches, take the blocks if he needs to. He can take the hits over the middle. I think this guy is going to be a necessary piece for this Ohio State team, for this Texans team from Ohio State. And, their relationship at Ohio State, I think CJ Stroud and Cade Stover getting back together, that's going to be special as well. Because we've talked about this with wide receivers and quarterbacks who started together in college and moved together into the NFL. There's a strong bond there, a strong correlation. I think the tight end position is going to be just the same as well. I think we're going to see a relationship start to blossom again between CJ Stroud and Stover. I would look to see him getting a lot of looks coming on in the later of the season.
Yeah, I think when you look at Stover play at Ohio State, and I watched a lot of him play, I was a big fan of Big Ten football. I think the thing that just jumped off the field watching him was just his attitude, his demeanor. I mean, he's a guy who catch the football in yards after catch situation, looking for people to run over, right? Obviously, he's a great athlete, great hands, can make all the athletic plays, plays with an attitude, high football IQ is written all over every NFL draft report about him, talking about his toughness. He's a team guy. Obviously, there were situations when you're on a team with like Ohio State that has literally 5 million first-round wide receivers, it seems, you're not going to get as many catches as you otherwise would. didn't seem to bother him at all. He was all about doing what was best for the team. And I think we're seeing that translate so far to the Houston Texans. And look, so far in OTAs, again, it's OTAs. I get it. It's really hard to get a feel for how good some of these skill players are. But his attitude just jumps off when you hear people talk about him. The fact that he plays like it's almost a full padded game, fourth quarter against Michigan, and it's OTAs right now. We're talking the end of May for the Houston Texans. It just speaks to the energy he's going to bring to this offense. And I think having a guy like that is going to be really important because, look, we know the talent's going to be there. You've got Diggs, you've got Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, Dalton Schultz when he holds on to the football, a plethora of great running backs and Mixon and Pierce, right? Mechie getting better and better. You keep going down the list, right? You have all this incredible talent, guys that are just great. But sometimes having that just feisty alternate receiving option, a guy who catches a little flat route, runs over 5 people for a 12-yard gain, just gets the energy going and gets the crowd going and gets all that environment. It's like that great defensive six-man kind of player, seventh man, like on a basketball team, right? You have that second group that comes in. You got kind of that enforcer, that bully guy that can kind of get the crowd back into it, that can change the tone of a game. That's what Stover reminds me of, a guy who can just not have a lot of touches necessarily, because I don't think he will, just based on the talent level of the Texans. But when he does, he's going to make them count. He's going to bring the energy level up. He's going to bring the competitiveness up. And he's the kind of mentality that when you play the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals, or whoever late in the postseason, he's not going to back down from a fight. He's going to go toe to toe with those kind of teams because that's just his mentality. And I think this is why he's such a great addition to this Houston Texans team. And that's why everyone from Nick Caserio to his teammates to his new coaches are really ecstatic about him. The fans are too. Media is excited for good reason because he just gives this offense an edge that I think will be critical for them come crunch time.